Time has always been the silent witness of all things, flowing endlessly while we rush to keep up with it. The Stoics often reminded us that time is not ours to possess. It is only ours to use wisely. Seneca said that it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Each moment that passes is a small death, yet also a quiet gift. To live fully is not to have more years, but to be awaken the ones we already have. When we understand this, we stop chasing the illusion of more time and start embracing the reality of this moment. Life becomes simpler, lighter, and strangely enough, more complete. Mortality is not the enemy, but the boundary that gives shape to our existence. Without death, time would lose its meaning and urgency would disappear. The Stoic mind does not fear death, it studies it, reflects on it, and learns from it. To remember that we will die is to remember that we are alive now. It gives texture to our choices, weight to our words, and tenderness to our relationships. Death does not diminish life, it refines it, and in that reflection, we find the courage to live more truthfully. We often act as though time is infinite, postponing joy, forgiveness, and love until later. But later is a fragile illusion, and tomorrow is never guaranteed. The Stoics would urge us to act now, to speak kindly now, to live meaningfully now. Each sunrise is not a promise, it is a chance. If we learn to greet the morning with gratitude instead of expectation, we begin to see how precious the ordinary truly is. The clock becomes not an enemy, but a companion reminding us to live before we die. When we measure life by its length, we deceive ourselves. The Stoic looks instead to its depth. A short life lived with clarity, virtue, and peace is worth more than a long one lost in distraction and fear. Time's quality matters more than its quantity. Every breath we take consciously adds to our wealth, while every anxious moment steals from it. When we stop fearing the end, we start living with purpose. And purpose, not years, is what defines a meaningful life. There's serenity in accepting that everything we love will eventually fade. Flowers wither, faces age, memories blur, but beauty lies in their impermanence. The Stoic sees transience not as loss, but as the natural rhythm of existence. To hold gently is wiser than to cling tightly. When we let things flow as they are meant to, we are freed from the pain of resistance. Acceptance becomes a quiet form of strength, teaching us that nothing truly beautiful can be owned, only appreciated. Time humbles us. It strips away the illusion of control and shows us how little truly belongs to us. The Stoic learns to walk with time, not against it. To complain that life is short is to misunderstand life itself. It is long enough for those who live with intention. Every day spent consciously is a victory over forgetfulness. When we see time as a teacher, not a thief, we stop mourning its passage and start learning from its flow. The lesson it gives is simple but profound. Use it or lose it. To meditate on death is not morbid, it is liberating. Memento mori, the Stoics would whisper, remember that you must die. It is not a call to despair, but to clarity. When we remember that life is temporary, we stop wasting it on things that do not matter. We begin to choose peace over pride, simplicity over excess, and meaning over noise. Death becomes the lens that sharpens our focus on what is real. And what is real is always found here, in the breath before the next. We often fear the passing of time because we mistake it for loss. But time does not take away, it transforms. It turns youth into wisdom, haste into patience, and fear into understanding. The Stoic accepts this transformation with grace, knowing that to resist it is to suffer needlessly. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every slowed step is a mark of living, not of losing. To age is not to decline, it is to unfold. Time's passage is not an enemy, but a gentle reminder to live kindly and let go often. The mind that is at peace with time no longer rushes. It no longer fights to stay young or clings to what was. Instead, it flows with life's seasons as calmly as a river moving toward the sea. The Stoic accepts change as the only constant, trusting that each stage of life holds its own quiet wisdom. In this surrender, there is strength. In this acceptance, there is peace. What we once called loss becomes simply the turning of another page. We must learn to see each day as a lifetime in miniature. Morning is birth, noon is growth, evening is reflection, and night is rest. To live one day well is to live an entire life well. The Stoic does not postpone happiness to some distant future. They find it in the steady rhythm of ordinary days. Every sunrise is a chance to begin again. Every sunset is an invitation to let go. Life, when lived this way, becomes a series of peaceful beginnings and graceful endings. Time is the most impartial of teachers. It gives to all but favors none. Some waste it in longing, others fill it with gratitude. The Stoic chooses the latter. They do not ask how much time they have left, but how well they are using what remains. To spend time in anger is to lose it twice, once in the moment itself, and again in regret. To spend it in presence is to multiply its worth. The way we treat our hours is the way we treat our lives. Every person walks with death beside them, though most pretend not to see it. The Stoic turns and greets it as an old friend. For death walks with us not to frighten, but to remind. It whispers, "Do not waste today." Those who live with this awareness become gentler, wiser, more deliberate. They forgive faster, love deeper, and speak with honesty. In remembering death, they rediscover life. That is the quiet paradox at the heart of Stoicism. We cannot slow the passage of time, but we can slow our response to it. In every rush, there is the choice to pause. The Stoic pause is often to observe, to breathe, to reflect. This slowness is not laziness. It is presence. It allows life to be felt instead of just seen. When we stop racing time, we realize we were never behind. It was we who were moving too fast to notice the beauty already. Here, to accept mortality is to accept humility. We are not the masters of time, but its students. We come, we learn, and then we leave, making space for others to do the same. The Stoic sees in this rhythm a deep harmony, a universe in balance, not chaos. Our time is short, yes, but so is the blooming of a flower, and yet its beauty moves us. To live humbly within time is to live in harmony with nature itself. Regret is often born from our refusal to live while we could. The Stoic reminds us that the past cannot be changed and the future cannot be controlled. Only the present can be shaped by our choices. To dwell on lost time is to waste more of it. Instead, we should turn regret into gratitude, for it teaches us what truly matters. Every moment is a second chance, if we are wise enough to take it. In moments of stillness, time seems to dissolve. The Stoic practices this stillness not as escape, but as return to the self, to clarity, to the present. Within stillness, we glimpse eternity in a single breath. We realize that time's power over us is only as great as our attachment to it. When the mind becomes quiet, life stops being a countdown and starts being a continuous now. That is where true freedom resides. To love life deeply, we must also love its impermanence. The Stoic heart beats with both gratitude and detachment. It holds what it loves gently, knowing it cannot stay forever. This awareness makes every embrace more tender, every goodbye more sacred. When we stop trying to make moments last, we begin to live them fully. What passes is not lost, it becomes part of the great flow of all things. Our fear of death often comes from the illusion that we are separate from life. But we are not observers of time, we are part of it, threads in its endless tapestry. The Stoic sees death not as an ending, but as a continuation of nature's order. Just as the leaf returns to the soil, we return to the whole. There is no tragedy in this, only completion. To live well is to be ready to return with peace. If we could look at our lives from the end, how many of our current worries would matter? The Stoic often imagines this view to gain perspective. Most of what troubles us are small ripples on the surface of an ocean that will soon be still. The awareness of mortality cleanse is the mind, sweeping away the trivial and revealing the essential. It reminds us to choose what endures, kindness, wisdom, and calm. There is a certain beauty in knowing that our time is finite. It makes every sunrise more golden, every conversation more meaningful, every silence more profound. The Stoics believed that awareness of death does not darken life, it illuminates it. When we remember that each moment could be our last, we stop taking anything for granted. Even the simplest gestures, a shared smile, the sound of rain, the warmth of morning light becomes sacred. Mortality, then, is not a curse, but a gift that sharpens our vision and deepens our gratitude. Life becomes lighter when we stop pretending it will last forever. And so, the Stoic walks calmly through time, unafraid of its passing and unshaken by its end. They live each day as if it were both their first and they're last with curiosity, humility, and grace. The awareness of mortality does not breed despair, but clarity. It teaches us in the end. Time and mortality are not burdens to bear, but teachers to learn from. They show us the fragility of life so that we may treat it gently. They remind us of our limits so that we may live within them wisely. The Stoic learns to walk beside them with quiet dignity, neither clinging nor resisting. To accept them is to find peace beyond fear, and in that peace we discover what it truly means to be alive.